Hey homie, this is Ebony. I've been testing this astrology technique for 3 years now, and it is freaky accurate. It's called the Lunar Return, and it's predicted everything from when money would show up to when relationships would blow up. Once I started tracking it, I realized it wasn't just astrology, it was strategy. The timing lined up so often, it changed how I plan my life. It's as dependable as Mariah Carey defrosting in November. But what really sold me wasn't my chart, it was seeing it hit for other people. Even a certain Grammy-winning recording artist had one of the biggest months of their career right when their new lunar return kicked in. So let me show you how this works and why your personal moon cycle might be the most useful astrology tool you've never used. Here's where we're headed. I'll break down what it is, how to use it, and how it actually plays out in real life. So what exactly is a lunar return, and why do astrologers like me swear by them? You've probably heard the usual advice: set intentions with the new moon, release with the full moon. And that's cool for the collective vibe, but it's not really personalized. Your lunar return highlights your private moon cycle. Like, if you can get couture, why would you settle for ready to wear? Every 28 and a half days, the moon returns to the exact spot it held when you were born. Same sign, same degree. That moment generates a new chart for the next 4 weeks. Think of it like this. If your solar return, your birthday chart, sets the storyline for the season of the TV show that is your life, each lunar return is a new episode. Same cast, different subplot, career, romance, healing, or just surviving the side quest with your edges intact. Maybe with a cameo or two. And because each chart lasts only for a month, it gives you faster feedback than most astrology techniques. You don't have to wait a year to see if it's right. By the end of the month, you'll know. I've been tracking my lunar returns for about 3 years now, just to see if they really worked. Each month, I'd pull the chart, read it like a forecast, and jot down what I thought might happen. By the end of the month, I'd check back and something always lined up. Sometimes hilarious, sometimes uncomfortable. Always accurate enough to make me question how anyone calls this coincidence. Like when my 12th house was highlighted, that's the part of the chart tied to isolation, hospitals, lengthy illnesses, and mental anguish. I ended up quarantined with COVID. Another month, same house again. I was driving back and forth to hospitals while both of my parents were extremely ill. When the 5th house took center stage, creativity, romance, fun, and kids, my DMs went from desert to downpour, baby. My nieces and nephews were always around, and I was deep into my creative bag. 1 month literally showed settlement after breach of relations, authorities reimburse expenses. That was the exact month my car accident settlement check arrived. And then there was the month with a marriage swindler. I laughed, like, okay, that's oddly specific. That month, I met a man with no job, no address, just vibes, and an overnight bag. Textbook hobosexual. I ignored the chart, but the chart didn't ignore me, because astrology doesn't lie, but swindlers do. After enough experiences like that, I stopped treating astrology like poetry and started treating it like data, because this wasn't metaphor, it was measurement. But it's not just my chart that delivers. I've used lunar returns with clients too, and they've been just as precise. One client messaged me, "Hey, what do you see?" But what I heard was, "Is my mom dying?" Her mother was critically ill. Doctors didn't think she'd make it through the week. I pulled her lunar return and her solar return for backup, and I told her, this looks like a crisis, but not an ending. Hospitalization? Absolutely. Fear and exhaustion? Definitely. But death? No. That was almost a year ago, and her mom is still here. That's when I realized sometimes the most powerful thing astrology gives us is a reason to hope. And it's not just in moments of fear. Astrology shows up in moments of ambition too. When I applied to speak at NORWAC for the first time, one of the US's biggest astrology conferences, I pulled the lunar return for the conference month. Various combinations in the chart highlighted astrological community, leadership, movement, travel, and specifically money well spent. I polished the proposal, hit send, and months later, the email arrived, accepted. When the conference happened, the timing lined up exactly to the day. And that's when it clicked for me. Astrology, it's about cooperating with timing. To show how powerful this timing technique is, let's look at one of the wilder public examples of timing that I've seen. Let's rewind to May 2024, when one of the biggest cultural showdowns in music history unfolded, the rap beef between Kendrick Lamar and Drake. It had us glued to our phones, refreshing timelines, decoding lyrics, waiting to see who would drop what, when, and next, what tea was being spilled, what bars were coming, how long this war would go on. Now, the morning of May 3rd, Kendrick Lamar dropped 616 in LA. Everybody's like, okay, tension's rising. At 8:07 p.m., Kendrick's Lunar Return hits. A reset, new chart, new assignment. Hours later, Drake comes out swinging with Family Matters. And when I say swinging, I mean gloves off. He dragged Kendrick's family, community, crew, even accused Kendrick's kid of not being his kid. I mean, that's scorched earth. But what Drake didn't know, Kendrick's chart had already forecast the attack and the response. At 11:58 p.m., now fully into his Lunar Return, Kendrick released Meet the Grams. Less than 24 hours later, Not Like Us. 2 tracks that flipped the entire narrative. So what was happening in the sky? On the Lunar Return wheel chart, Scorpio is rising. So immediately the chart's energy is ruthless and strategic. It's about loyalty so deep that it borders on obsession, and payback that's not reactive. It's surgical. Scorpio always gives me, I'm not a killer, but don't push me. But Drake pushed Kendrick hard with Family Matters. So from that point, it's pure survival. It's about exposing deep, dark secrets, a shadow war, a fight to the death, the kind that makes your opponent regret ever starting it. The moon sits in the 4th house in this chart, house of home, family, roots, legacy, heritage. This wasn't just a rap beef, it was ancestral. Drake mocked Kendrick's connections to his people as if cultural pride and activism was a weakness. But Kendrick's chart said otherwise. The moon in the 4th made it clear this month was about protecting lineage. Neptune, the planet of deception, represented Drake as a cultural thief, wearing hip-hop and Black culture more broadly like a costume. Saturn, the planet of legacy and boundaries, was there too, drawing a hard line. Drake was not like us. Now, look at Mars in Aries in the 5th house. The planet of war in the sign of war, in the house of performance, pleasure, and children. That's the battlefield that Drake chose, weaponizing family, dragging children, turning play into combat. So Kendrick, who's represented by Mars in this chart, fought back in the same arena. Meet the Grams was a haunting track aimed at Drake's secret son, Adonis. Not Like Us took it further, exposing patterns of grooming and predation, doubling down on that 5th house theme of sex, children, and creative power. And here's the kicker. Kendrick's Lunar Return midheaven was conjunct Drake's natal ascendant. Kendrick didn't just respond, he brought the moment to Drake's doorstep. Kendrick literally used a photo of Drake's home for the cover art for the song. If that's not midheaven coming to the ascendant, I don't know what is. He used his career to make us question who Drake was as a person. On the Uranian dial, Lunar Return Mars lands right on Kendrick's natal ascendant midheaven midpoint. That is the point that defines who you are in your environment right now. And when Mars hits that spot, you don't just show up, you show up swinging. Jupiter is there too, amplifying success. And Zeus and Apollon, pure creative fire and technical mastery. That's why he spit that hot fire. And it's also about fatherhood. Venus Poseidon adds a layer of collective enchantment, the kind of magic where everyone's chanting your lyrics like scripture. And you know Kendrick had us dancing that month. Kendrick didn't just dominate, he hypnotized the culture. And Mars was sitting between the part of fortune and Hades. Translation, they go low, I go to hell, and I'm taking the charts with me. We all saw how this played out. Not Like Us shot to #1 on Billboard, became an instant classic, and he later performed it at the Super Bowl in front of 127 million people, the largest halftime audience to date. Drake even filed a defamation suit and lost. This chart predicted a month of public conflict, family loyalty, creative domination, and legacy on display. And Kendrick delivered all of it. He turned conflict into currency. And that's what Lunar Returns reveal. Not just what's happening, but why it matters. They show you the assignment. And when you're aligned with the moment, the impact is undeniable. So how can you bring this magic into your life? Now let's keep it real. This is like a 10 to 20 minute YouTube video. You're not going to read lunar returns like a professional after watching this, but I will highlight a few things to look for if you're curious and want to test it out for yourself. I know I just showed y'all some really nuanced stuff in Kendrick's chart with the dial and the midpoints and the works, but you ain't got to do all of that. Start where you are. Here is your beginner guide. First, you'll need your exact birth time because the moon moves fast. And baby, we need that exact degree, okay? Then hop over to a free chart generator like astro.com, AstroSeek, whatever you like, and create the lunar return chart for the time period you want to look at. If you're using AstroSeek, then you will want to come over to free horoscopes, down to prognoses, solar arc, solar return, click on that. And then here under returns revolutions, you'll see lunar return chart. Click on that, put in your date of birth, and I want it for from the year 2024 in the current city. I just stick with the birth city. Calculate the returns, and it'll give you every lunar return for the year in question. So if I want to see what was going on January 2025, then I'm going to look at the return chart. That's my lunar return. The moon should match whatever the moon is in your birth chart if you look at the degrees and the sign. The house will probably be different. Sometimes it's not, sometimes it is, but you definitely want the degree to always be the same between your lunar return chart and your birth chart. Once you've got it all pulled up, here's what to notice. Number one, the rising sign. That sets the tone of your month. Check where the rising sign's planet or ruler lands. That's the storyline driving your episode. And if you don't know what the sign ruler is, don't worry about it. You can skip that or check out this video where I do explain what it means. 2, angular planets. Anything near the ascendant, descendant, midheaven, or IC is loud. Translation, check the 1st, 4th, 7th, and 10th houses. These are the planets with megaphones, the ones that are driving this month's plot. 3, the moon's house. This shows your focus, the part of life that's front and center. It's the headline for the month. Work, love, home, healing, wherever the moon is sitting, that's where your heart's hanging out. 4, packed houses. If a bunch of planets are hanging out in one area, that's a big clue. You'll know it when you see it. It looks like a tiny solar system living rent-free in one slice of the pie. 5, aspects to your birth chart. This part's a little bit more advanced, but it's really powerful. If a planet in your lunar return directly hits one in your natal chart, that's where things get real. Return Mars hitting natal Venus, sparks. You might be doing a nasty or just really loving the work that you're doing. You know, my mind always goes to the gutter. Return midheaven on your sun, your identity, your body may be getting more attention this month. Return Mercury, aspecting your Neptune, confused text, poetic tweets, both. That's enough to get you started. I don't actually read charts using this quick formula. I go a lot deeper. But if you're experimenting, this will get you surprisingly far. You're basically watching the moon hand you a new script every month. So what do you actually do with all of this? Once you know the rhythm, you can start moving with it instead of fighting against it. Got a 6th house month coming? That's your cue to handle your health, tighten systems, clear the inbox. 10th house month, pitch, show up, step into visibility. 12th house month, don't stack your calendar. Let it be a season of rest or retreat, maybe a solo trip, maybe silence. Businesses can use this too. Each month highlights a different department. Launch windows, hiring cycles, marketing pushes. The point isn't to predict every detail, it's to cooperate with timing. You can use your business chart as the root chart, and the lunar return will tell you where their energy wants to flow next. Once you start syncing with that rhythm, life feels less random and more like choreography. Boom cat, boom cat. And if you want to see what your next few months are really about, the themes, the turning points, the headlines of your own life, that's exactly what I unpack in my Deep Cuts comprehensive predictive reading. It's a full year forecast where I walk through every lunar return, your solar return, progressions, directions, and more, the full cosmic screenplay of your year. You can book it through my website, homegirlastrology.com. The link is below. Feel free to drop in the comments which TV series feels most like your life right now. For me, I'm in my Abbott Elementary era. Chill, funny, surrounded by good people, enjoying the work, and making a difference. If this video gave you a new way to think about astrology or just make the moon feel a little more personal, Hit like, subscribe, turn on notifications so you know when I'm posting, and share it with a friend who loves connecting the dots. Because the moon's been writing your story all along. I'm just here to help you read it. Thank you for watching. I'll see you real soon. Peace, homies.